The Miz must protect a very mean woman and steal every car they come across as they Rambo their way through the forests of British Columbia. We watch the Marine 4 Moving Target as we wrap up this year's WrestleMania, today on Nothing Movies. Hey, speaking of such.
Now I have to include that.
So, a funny thing happened to me in the coffee shop this morning.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Coming soon to Broadway.
Yeah.
A funny thing happened on the way to the coffee shop.
A certain gentleman, I want to say a homeless gentleman,
Sure.
was holding the door open for people.
Okay.
Yeah, and, as you do, you tip them as you leave. But this man, because there was a massive lineup going out the door, took it upon himself to just, enact some chit-chat with people. And he seemed friendly enough. And he took one look at me, and he said, "You have the mark of the devil." So, how about that?
Man, you know what's crazy about that?
He didn't say anything else about that. He didn't, point at me and shriek or anything, or, start clawing at his eyes or anything.
He didn't go full Donald Sutherland.
No. He's like, "Hey, you got the mark of the devil on you."
You know what's crazy is that's so relatable because that's literally happened to me before, too.
Oh, yeah?
I was taking, a food safe course just to get, my certificate updated or whatever back when I was still working in food service. And our instructor was, super late to start the class, so we were all just, standing outside waiting to get in. And this somewhat derelict-looking gentleman with a big knapsack comes up, looks all of us over, fixes his eyes on me.
And he says, "That one."
That one. He says, "You have the mark of the beast." I forget. It was so long ago, but I vaguely remember he was all like, "You will be visited tonight in dreams by a raven who will take your soul back to," and it was just like a minute and a half of stream of consciousness just calling me
really?
like the devil's son or whatever. And then he walked away, and then the lady who was taking the class with me turned to me and she said, "That was the craziest shit I've ever seen in my life."
Use it in today's lesson.
And it's not the first time. There have been a few times that people have, followed me for a few blocks.
Really?
Quietly spitting all over my back.
Oh, God.
Yeah, kind of ruined a leather jacket I had one time.
Oh, no.
It's been a while. It's been a while since I've had a real experience with a Vancouver crazy.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of them out there. But there are just as many...
they're as human as you or I.
Lovely people who are having a rough go of things.
Yeah.
But no one likes being called the devil.
No.
Unless, they're actual Satanists. You should have been all like, "Thank you."
And then throwing up the horns. Yeah, sounds like you had it much worse than I did, but it was, I did not expect that counter to my, "Hey, here's a funny thing that happened to me," and you're like, "I can beat that."
It was a real Clark Griswold, "Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, go fuck yourself, Merry Christmas,
Happy Hanukkah."
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Well, I'm sorry that happened to you, Jameson.
Oh, I'm not.
I
thought it was hilarious.
Unless you are literally the devil, in which case, welcome back.
Yeah.
However you wish to self-identify.
Man, we had the perfect segue between Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday, and in the theme of holidays, WrestleMania.
Well, I ruined it like I ruin so much. No.
Quit while you're ahead.
Welcome back, however you wish to self-identify, be it male, female, transgender, non-binary, or The Miz. 2 Nothing Movies, where we go through, those are the 5 genders.
Okay.
Where we go through an actor's filmography, and we choose the most anonymous and culturally untalked about movies that they've made and decide whether or not they got a certain something or if they're just a whole lot of nothing. I'm Kaz Lasgard!
There is a Ms. and Mrs.
Yeah, I saw that. I was going through his Wikipedia, and I saw that he has a reality show with his wife called Ms. and Mrs.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, that's pretty good.
Well,
it's not bad.
And I'm Jameson Rafter. I'm also on this show.
And as we said, it's once again, we've come to the end. We've come to the end of yet another WrestleMania. Today we're talking about the Marine 4 Moving Target.
Yeah.
Because it is the tail end of our all WWE Studios all sequels month, which I have to say was an idea I had. It seemed great on paper.
Yeah.
Not so much in execution, largely because we had to watch these fucking movies.
Yeah.
If I had gone back in time and I had told Cass from a few weeks ago, guess what? The Condemned 2 is kind of the best one out of these motherfuckers. I might have cut my losses early, but
really,
I am nothing if not a stickler for a theme. So we made it all the way to the end. God, all right, well, but here we are, the Marine 4.
In this case, I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to say that, while not a fantastic movie, of the 3 movies we watched this year, it's the most competent. I have the least things to nitpick about with this movie.
I have the least things to nitpick about this movie, but as a result, it's kind of the most boring one of all of them.
Yeah.
It's just...
Your competency will be your undoing, the Marine 4.
And honestly, yeah, like a competent bad movie is kind of even worse than a train wreck bad movie. Because, I don't know, I mean, I wrote some shit down. We'll get to it.
Yeah.
But to start us off, Jameson, why don't you share with us whatever you have left about this long and crazy journey about WWE Studios, WWE Productions. I've called it something different every episode.
Yeah. We never settled on this until the recording started.
The house that Vince built.
Technically, he took over, but yeah.
The house that Vince stole.
The house that Vince sucked in all the different territories under one banner. Yeah. Anyways, WWE Studios. The last thing we haven't really covered with the studio are all the films that were made starring, actual A-list actors that may not even have a single wrestler in them.
That's gotta be a short list.
It is a short list.
What, you don't want to go on like a 15-minute diatribe about like every time Scooby-Doo has appeared with a pro wrestler? It's like 8 or 9 at this point.
Now, are we just talking about the DVD releases or like a random episode of Scooby-Doo meets
That's
Hulk
true.
Hogan?
That probably the number is actually larger than in that case. Yeah, because they definitely popped up on some regular episodes at one point. There was a crossover between Scooby-Doo and Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling.
And Scooby-Doo helped put them over. All right. Okay, so I'll just go over this list here.
Sorry, I just envisioned an episode of Scooby-Doo where they've cornered the monster or whatever, and they took off the mask, and it's Vince McMahon. It was me, Austin. It was me the entire time.
Fuck, we should have watched one of those Hanna-Barbera wrestling movies this year.
There's always next year.
There's always next year. Okay, so yeah, as I mentioned a couple episodes ago, WWE Studios, in an effort to cut down their own production costs, but also legitimize themselves as a production studio, will often co-finance these movies that have actual celebrities in them. And, they can be quite not what you would expect from the WWE brand.
Right, well, we've already discussed the Ed Harris gay teacher movie, which seems like the biggest outlier in WWE films history.
Yeah.
I have to imagine.
Yeah, it's up there, but I mean, I'll just go over the list here, and there's a strong chance in my mind that you have heard of most of these movies.
Sure, because, my brain is a film encyclopedia, and,
That's right.
and it
that's what it is.
It removes all human interactions I've had in my life when I found out about a new movie, because I need to make room in there.
Yeah.
So someone I went to school with, they're gone.
Yeah.
Like a second cousin. Nice knowing you. I need to know about.
But Chasing Molly.
I'm the expert. I'm the internet's own.
Yeah. All right. So in 2012, this was the first time that they've ever put out a movie that didn't have a wrestler in it. It was Barricade, which is a Canadian psychological horror movie starring Eric McCormack.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
It's about a widowed therapist who takes his family to a secluded cabin in the woods, and then crazy psychological horror shit happens.
Will. That took me a second. Will, right? From Will and Grace? That's who Eric McCormack is, right? Or is he Greg of Dharma and Greg?
I couldn't tell you.
Oh my God, that's gonna bother me. No, you know what? No, he's Will. He's Will.
Yeah, because the other guy's on the Smartless podcast with Will Arnett and Jason Bateman.
No.
Oh, yeah, Sean Hayes.
Well, Sean Hayes.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Is that who you're thinking of?
No. Let's for the purposes of the moving forward, let's say he's Will.
Wow.
It took me a second because I can never, even though those shows, one of them is about a gay man and a straight woman, and the other one is about a hetero married couple. I always get those shows mixed up, and I never remember which one is which. Anyway, that's all I have to say about Mr. Eric McCormack.
Okay, well, let's see if I can short circuit you again.
Canada's own.
Okay. Also in 2012, they co-produced a movie called The Day, which it's a Canadian post-apocalypse movie.
Not the day after, just the day.
Just the day of, yeah. Starring Sean Ashmore and Dominic Monaghan of Lord of the Rings fame.
Oh.
Yeah, that's all I can really tell you about it.
Those are two boys. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, Dominic Monaghan had like a brief run of things. He's still in like third place of like Hobbit careers after the trilogies. He's still doing better than poor Billy Boyd, who has completely disappeared into the void. He's disappeared into the Boyd void. I don't know where that guy went.
Did he get into music?
Oh yeah, he might have just done that. He might have just been making all right music like
all right.
not alt right music. No, he's a lovely man.
Yeah.
Who the fuck was the other? Oh yeah, Iceman. Yeah, I should look these movies up while you're saying.
You know, Kaz, I never do that when it's you reading off these movie lists. So yeah, save yourself the trouble.
Also, The Day is really hard to search for because it's
The Day 2012.
Because I got The Day After Tomorrow, The Day the Earth Stood Still.
All right, here's one that'll sound familiar to you. 2013, The Call, which is the psychological thriller.
Can any of these have like interesting or like non-generic title? Wait, I know this one. This is the Halle Berry
one. Yeah.
That's right. I have heard of this one.
Abigail Breslin gets kidnapped in a car trunk, and Halle Berry's the 911 operator. Yep.
That's I'm pretty sure we talked about that on our Halle Berry episode. Haven't seen it.
Yep. Okay. Moving on. 2013, Dead Man Down, Colin Farrell action thriller.
That's right. Yeah, Colin Farrell, Noomi Rapace, Terrence Howard. Yeah, these are all movies that definitely exist inside my brain as existing. Yeah.
Okay, here's one that I know you've seen. 2014, Oculus.
Yes.
With Karen Gillan and Katie Sackhoff.
An excellent horror movie from Mike Flanagan.
Current master of horror.
The current master of horror, who, surprisingly, just got handed the reins of the next Exorcist movie.
Oh, okay.
Even though that last one that came out, no one liked, and most people were all like, just let it die.
Yeah.
But no, I would say it's in good hands because
he's the perfect guy to write the ship.
He's known for he wrote the much better than people anticipated sequel to the Ouija movie that fucking sucked, and then he came and he actually made like a good movie out of that. So he has a track record of taking properties that everyone thought were unfilmable. He's done that twice with Stephen King, with Gerald's Game and Dr. Sleep, two books that people said were unfilmable, and he filmed them, and they were both great. So, yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Oculus. Yeah, he got that WWE money. Yeah, there you go.
So, WWE Studios is capable of having their hands involved in a good movie.
They probably used to be, I imagine. What's the? Are you done with the list? What's the?
No.
Okay, all right. Because I have a question.
I've often asked myself that same question on other non-wrestling
when you're on the
receiving end
of this list. Yes.
Yeah, Kaz, it's my turn to talk. Not so fun, is it?
I'm just itching to get in here. Yeah.
I miss the days when we would trade off who talks about the movies. Sometimes I would go on these amazing tangents about like an Italian filmmaker who went on the lam.
Oh man, well, we just need to cover more criminals.
Yeah.
We just need to cover more people who got in trouble with the law.
Yeah. All right. 2014. Oh, sorry. You wanted to make a point.
Well, I just wanted to ask, and maybe you have like this in your notes or whatever. Like, what's like the current state of WWE films? What do they have like in the lab currently, or has the experiment like failed? Like, is WWE films like technically inert? Because it feels like I haven't seen anything from them in a while.
Let's put a pin in that one to come back to, because there will be like a shocking revelation that I will make to you. Probably not at the end of this list.
Gird your loins.
Yeah. 2014, Road to Paloma, the drama thriller directed and starring Jason Momoa.
Yep. Definitely heard that. Yep. The only film he's directed so far. Something about motorcycles, I want to say.
Isn't he on like some kind of revenge fantasy?
Sounds legitimate.
Yeah,
sounds like something he'd do.
I think a big inspiration for them to co-finance that little pet project of his was it almost would have guaranteed him having a brief appearance at a WrestleMania event.
Right.
That's how they get the celebrity.
And Jason Momoa is one of those actors that you're kind of surprised didn't have a career in wrestling.
Because he's very easily could have gone into that.
Because he's always been cut
Yeah.
from the very beginning. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But no, he came from Baywatch instead.
He certainly did. I've heard the premise of that movie is insane, and it has like a crazy twist ending.
Road to Paloma, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, something about like how one major detail is like all in his head or something.
Oh, okay. He was is it a stay situation where he's just like dying on like the side of the road?
We can only hope, yeah.
Just imagining the entire
Yeah. Okay, in 2016 there was the movie Term Life, which we briefly mentioned in our arcade episode.
I want to do an episode on this one day because this movie has an insane cast.
Directed by Peter Billingsley of A Christmas Story fame, starring Vince Vaughn, Haley Stanfield, Jonathan Banks, Taraji P. Henson, and Terrence Howard, again, in the WWE Studios movie.
Also, one of the final films of Bill Paxton, R.I.P. Yeah, and there's probably like a couple of more character actors in that too. Yeah, just like another like weird short directorial career where Peter Billingsley, Ralphie from A Christmas Story, I guess is real life friends with Jon Favreau and Vince Vaughn because he's done 2 movies with them, Term Life and Couples Therapy. So another like weird directorial effort from someone who doesn't usually direct stuff.
Yeah. Also in 2016, now this movie sounds pretty interesting. Birth of the Dragon.
Okay, now I remember this coming out, and I remember there being a lot of complaints about this movie in the sense that it is technically supposed to be a movie about young Bruce Lee and a real thing that happened, but it is framed. The protagonist of the movie is a non-existent white protagonist, played by Billy Magnuson, who's a great actor who I really like. But everything I've heard is that like, if you're telling a Bruce Lee story, let Bruce Lee be the main character, for fuck's sakes. Why are you putting in this white avatar to like be all like, wow, that Bruce Lee, he sure did some amazing things.
You know what this is? It sounds like the inverse of Big Trouble in Little China.
Right, exactly.
Where like the bookend scenes are the cops talking to the one white guy giving his recount of like this amazing event that happened in San Francisco.
I mean,
because it takes place like it's a fictional account of something that's like a supposedly true story that involved Bruce Lee as a young martial artist challenging Kung Fu master Wong Jackman in 1965 San Francisco.
Right, so like an actual thing that happened, but they created a bullshit story around it to make, I guess, like a more digestible movie. But I mean, the great thing about Big Trouble in Little China...
So long as we're on the subject.
Kurt Russell, you know, he's the above the title star. You know, he had been in like all of John Carpenter's other movies. He is, on paper, supposed to be...
Up front, that's who the action hero is.
Yeah.
And then as you actually watch the account... No, he's the bumbling sidekick.
Absolutely. Everyone is more competent than he is.
Yeah,
and
it's great.
And he largely saves the day because of one trick that he knows. Because of like one...
By sheer luck.
By sheer dumb luck. Because he's able to do that one thing because he practiced it a couple of times.
But goddamn, I love Jack
Burton.
Oh,
it's amazing. Oh, it's an incredible movie. Yeah.
The last movie that WW Studios has ever had a hand in producing was the 2021 3D animated movie about a monster wrestling league called Rumble.
Yes.
It's starring Will Arnett, Ben Schwartz, Terry Crews, Tony Shalhoub, and Charles Barkley.
This, I think, just missed having a theatrical release. I think it got buried on Paramount Plus or something or other.
WWE Network.
Yeah, it's probably on there. But, like, this is like I don't know what the allegory they're going for, but it's like a world where, like, humans and kaijus live in harmony. I don't know how that works.
Where's the codependent relationship on this? What do we get out of it?
But yeah, like the big what we get out of it is
monster wrestling.
Monster wrestling entertainment. And I guess like that's like the primary source of income in this world or whatever. And all of the monsters have like human trainers who have like little like hover cars so they can like go up to like their ears and be all like, what you gotta do is hit them and get them with your ice breath.
You're a wrecking machine.
It seems dumb, but you know, I like Will Arnett, so he can probably wring some laughs out of that. Charles Barkley, a natural entertainer. I'm sure.
I'm not even a basketball fan, but I will watch segments of Inside the NBA. He's great on that.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched like a few standalone clips of him and Shaq going at it. They're a great comedy duo.
Oh, yeah,
they
yeah,
actually are. Yeah, someone like a smart screenwriter of like a sports comedy could implement those two guys as like color commentator things as themselves. I'm saying have Shaq and Charles
cameo as themselves as like people calling the game.
Yeah, really turn it up a little bit. You know,
like Fred Willard in Best in Show.
Oh yeah, or Jason Bateman and the other guy in Dodgeball, Gary Cole. Yeah, have them be that. Yeah, look, the first Space Jam is not a great movie, but I would say like the most successful comedy in that movie comes from those 5 NBA All-Stars when they're like going to the doctor and like Patrick Ewing is all like he's insinuating that he can't get hard or whatever. Patrick Ewing's all like, no, is it who goes like, I love my mama? Is that Charles Barkley? I don't remember, but like that's the funny part is those 5 guys being all like, we can't play basketball anymore. And then
any regrets? Maybe Madonna.
Yeah, and then Charles Barkley has the scene where he plays basketball with the kids, and they're all like, get the fuck out of here, Charles Barkley. Yeah, some good shit there.
All right. Well, I think I've covered most of the filmography of
now,
WWE.
did you have a twist? You said you had a twist.
Oh,
about where WWE Films is going.
It's funny that, so we lead it with a question like that. What's the state of them? Let's consider that The Marine is their moneymaker franchise. You know, it was the first bona fide hit that they put out. It's
definitely the one they've sunk the most time and effort into.
That's right, yeah. They have, as of, I think it was the Marine 6.
That's the most recent one, yeah.
That is the final Marine movie. They kill off The Miz in that one.
What?
Yeah.
Whoa, that is a twist.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why didn't we watch that, for fuck's sakes? Oh my God, we should have done that. I wanted to go 2, 3, 4. I debated going 2, 3, 6.
Yeah.
Just for the hell of it. Now I want to, because now I want... Mostly because I had to sit through...
Jake Carter is no more. He fought his last battle.
I mean, okay, so this is a good way to seg into this talk as well, too. With the other 2 films we watched in this series, The Condemned 2 and 12 Rounds 3, we were introduced in those movies to those heroes and their exploits.
New heroes,
yes.
yeah.
Marine 4 is technically the continuing adventures of you just said his name. Jake Carter.
The Miz. Yeah.
The Miz.
Jake the Miz Carter.
Jake the Miz Carter, who I guess his story has a beginning, middle, and end that I did not realize.
They name drop the events of the last movie, I imagine.
I have to assume.
Because there's at one point where it's like, who's the new guy? Oh, Jake Carter, ex-Marine. Oh, the guy from...
He did that thing. And I mean, like, that, like... we name checked Die Hard too many times last time, but I will use this as an example where it's all like, you know, Die Hard with a Vengeance. There's just like the two. It's the exact same thing. 2 cops are just having like a conversation. It's all like, who the hell is this guy? It's all like, remember that building thing from like 1988? Oh yeah, and that's the only time that they refer. Well, I guess they don't because Hans Gruber's brother comes back. Anyway, yes. This is the second film in the Jake Carter franchise.
Yes.
And were you lost? It's fairly easy to follow.
It's so easy to follow.
Yeah, you went to Afghanistan or something. So The Miz. Mike, The Miz. Mizanin? Mazan?
The Miz.
You know what? I looked up, I tried to find like a couple of videos. Like sometimes when I'm not sure of like a person's pronunciation of their name, I'll just try to find like some interview footage of like people saying their name, or even better, them saying their name, because then I know that's how you pronounce things. Every interview footage I found of this just refers to him as The Miz. So that's what, for our purposes, we will do.
Maybe that's why he goes by The Miz.
Because people got tired of him.
He's just so sick of correcting people.
He got tired of it, yeah. So a wrestler that had a fairly unique take into how he ended up joining the WWE. Mainly, he came from the world of reality television.
That's right, yeah. He was a cast member on The Real World, I believe. I don't know which season, because I don't give a shit about reality TV. But that's how he got started. And I guess on the show, his ambition was to get into pro wrestling. And then the very next couple of years, he appeared on a reality show based around finding the next WWE talent.
Yeah.
And he lost that show, but I guess if he genuinely had that passion to both get into wrestling, but also be on camera to kind of rise his star power a little bit. It's funny because like he's been around for a long time, and right now like John Cena is like sort of the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. No, he's like the undisputed legacy guy that you associate with WWE because he's been around forever and he's still showing up to matches and stuff. Gotta tip my hat to The Miz for putting in the amount of work and just being like the absolute company man that he is, because he has been around about as long as John Cena, and he does as many fan events, and he just does the work. He's not afraid to lose a match in a way that makes him look like a fool, and you know he's always showing up for all these title matches, and you know he either loses them and puts up the other guy, or he pulls off a win through like some underhanded means, you know. So even when he wins, the audience isn't on his side. A lot of respect for a guy who is just sort of tailor-made to be the perfect heel wrestler.
Is that sort of the role that he inhabits within the WWE, is like as a classic heel?
Yeah.
He's sort of always, this little stinker.
So his persona that he was developing for himself is like, what kind of wrestler do you want to be? I want to be a heel. Great. What's your take on it? Oh, I'm going to be a really cocky guy, real arrogant guy. And it's like, that's not really enough. There are a lot of cocky villain wrestlers, but you know, we'll stick with that. You seem to be really good on the mic, so that's definitely going to boost you, but we don't really know quite what to do with you at this time. In the years where my buddies and I were doing our Winomania events, that's when The Miz had been fully formed at this point. But from what I gather from before I was watching, they didn't know quite what to do, and I think he had this angle of being a guy who came from reality television, was thrust into the limelight above, say, a bunch of people that came up from the world of independent wrestling.
Yeah, look, like, I don't know enough about the man's history and backstory to make, a comment on this, although that's never stopped me in the past. But, like, I have to imagine there might be, like, a small amount of animosity from other wrestlers, given that most of them came up in, you know, the world of wrestling.
They did it the right way.
Yeah, they came in, yeah, exactly. They trained hard, they put in the work, you know, they did, like, the minor circuits and whatever, and here's this pretty boy that was on like a couple of MTV shows or whatever, and he spun that off into a wrestling career. Not saying that he probably wasn't athletic or you know,
good at this,
put in the work, you know, he might have.
He certainly, from what I understand, he did suffer some major hazing in the early days of it, but you know, he weathered that storm and he never backed down from it. But I think what made me appreciate him, because he's the kind of wrestler that fans love to hate, and he loves being hated. I think what helped was he got a role in a Marine movie, and you know, when a wrestler like goes off to Hollywood, you know, the storyline, the kayfabe storyline is like, oh, this guy's gone Hollywood, he's leaving us behind. And I guess they decided, you know what? Yeah, I did leave for Hollywood. I am better than all you guys. And what makes this perfect for me is, for The Miz to work, you have to buy into this alternate reality that pro wrestling is constructing around itself. In this universe, The Miz is an A-lister. He's Robert Downey Jr. He's Ryan Reynolds. He's Johnny Cage. He's a movie star, and the biggest movie franchise in the world are the Marine movies.
Oh my God. I mean, yeah, in the altered reality that the WWE exists, sure, but yeah, I mean, I take immediate umbrage with like the phrase "going Hollywood." Like Dwayne Johnson went Hollywood.
Yes.
John Cena, Dave Bautista went Hollywood. You went to the Marine 3, buddy, a directed DVD movie that was financed by your job, by your work.
And the success has gone to his head. And now he is, you know, they play up everything you hate about celebrity culture, you know? And the fact that he has a reality show with his real wife, who is also a wrestler, and who had an ongoing feud briefly with John Cena and his fiance to see who is the better power couple of WWE, you know? Like, it's everything people hate about, like, the Kardashians and like outrageous celebrity behavior, and it works so well with this. And I think they found a perfect ingredient for, you know, this caricature of the Miz.
So I'll just add here that outside of the 4 Marine films that The Miz has starred in, he only has 2 other acting credits, and it's interesting. He is, because he looks the way he does, he is sort of fulfilling a genre that I feel like a couple of other wrestlers have said that they would like to get into, but they just don't have a natural sort of fit into it. He's really trying to take over the world of romantic comedies.
Oh, yeah.
In particular, his only other 2 movies outside of the Marine franchise are 2 Christmas-themed romantic comedies. 2013's Christmas Bounty, in which he plays a character named Mikey Muscles. And then 2015's Santa's Little Helper. And in both of these, he is the lead. He is the main character in both of them. So yes, he went Hollywood. He made 2 knockoff Hallmark movies and 4 sequels to a franchise that, again, were produced by his job.
Yeah.
So he actually went like the least Hollywood of basically any wrestler we've talked about so far. He's as far away from Hollywood as you can get.
Yeah, but you're not looking at this through the lens of being in on
the lens of bullshit?
Yeah, being in on the joke.
Oh, I understand the joke.
Get rid of your preconceived notions of what it means.
It's just funny that, like, other wrestlers have legitimately gone Hollywood, and that's the label that he gets like attributed to.
Yeah, he's the Hollywood pretty boy.
He is not remote. He hasn't even visited Hollywood. He doesn't even know what the airport looks like.
Oh man.
Yeah, and Dave Bautista said, like, I would love to do a romantic comedy, but no one will cast me in one. Cast Dave Bautista in a romantic comedy, you cowards. Make it happen.
Well, I'm just here to say, like, that angle is like a perfect gimmick for someone like The Miz, backed by the studio with both this reality TV show that they produced with his wife, and also giving him the keys to the kingdom of the Marine franchise. If you ever just want to see, you know, in my eyes, the best stuff that they've ever done with The Miz, he was briefly part of a tag team with a guy named Damien Mizdow, who was his stunt double.
Oh,
yeah. I mean,
he got a stunt double with the same name as him.
All right, well,
that's wild. Oh, okay, never mind. It's more of this Hollywood magic. I'm guessing.
His real name is Damien Sandow, but he became Mizdow as a tag partner for him, and he was a stunt double. And in the ring, he would always like either take the big hits for the Miz and then to get tagged back in, or while the Miz was getting like choked out or like, you know, wrestled to the ground, Mizdow would be on the side of the ring mimicking his moves. So he was like in a arm lock against no one.
That's a kind of a funny concept. The one wrestler who has like a tag team, but the tag team partner is his stunt doubles, so they do like all like the dangerous shit.
And because he went over so well with the fans that they started cheering for Mizdow over the Miz. And like, you know, he played it so well. You know, he would throw his arms up in the air when they won, and people would boo, but then Mizdow would do the same, and they're like, yeah. So there'd be boo, yeah, boo, yeah. The Miz is a fun character to hate.
It's a weird industry. It's a very weird industry. I know you. I finished watching that Super Eye Patch Wolf video, and I was texting with you about how I felt bad for Roman Reigns, and you did remind me that it's all like, this is kind of like a part of wrestling. Is you have to. You have to put your body through all of this grueling high athletic stuff, but also you have to have like a razor strong constitution to deal with like the psychological damage of people just hating your guts.
Yeah.
Even though there are, you know, at least half of the people in the stands, I imagine, are also in on the joke, and they don't wish any like immediate harm to you whatsoever. Yeah. I imagine there's also like a contingent of people who take this shit too seriously.
As with anything.
And actually go home and actually be all like, fuck that, I'm gonna run that guy over with my car. Some shit like
hate
that.
Mail and everything like
so
that.
So it's right. You do have to be a certain type of person to be able to just like deal with this lifestyle. I imagine all the money must help.
Yes, certainly.
But even then, they don't get paid probably nearly enough what they probably should.
They put their bodies through the ringer for something like this, and they don't get into it unless they have a passion for it and they think they can do it. And in the case of The Miz, he went in there specifically to be a bad guy. So he knows what comes with the territory.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Even though, once again, as you said, you've described this wrestler's persona for me, and the movie we are talking about does not capitalize on that whatsoever, because he's an all-American good guy.
But in my mind, he's a movie star. He's an actor.
Yes.
So this is him acting.
Well, we'll talk all about the thespian stylings of The Miz. After this short break, come back and we'll talk about the Marine 4. More like the Marine Boar. Oh! That's all the notes that's the only thing I wrote down.
It's just too...
That's all. It's just that.
Mass, like, page 1, B.
B.
Oh.
Looks like Macho Man's little cousin.
I know, right? How dare you try to...
Micho Man?
Not Chower Man.
Not Nacho Man. He's not Chower Man.
That's what I'm talking about.
Welcome back, everybody.
Hey.
The Marine 4 Moving Target is directed by William Kaufman, who has a whole bunch of direct-to-DVD bullshit, including a couple of Cuba Gooding Jr. straight-to-DVD films, including The Hit List and One in the Chamber. The direct-to-DVD sequel that he directed that I want to talk about, it's maybe one of the weirdest films, one of the most random films to get a straight-to-DVD franchise out of it. Did you ever see the movie Jarhead?
No, but I've heard that that's a very misleading movie.
I think that it didn't do well at the box office, largely because I think it was quite a misleading movie. Jarhead is a 2005 Gulf War drama. I will underline that word drama, because one thing that it is not is an action film. There are scenes of combat within it, but it is more about like the psychological toil people in the military go through. Largely, it's a film about Jake Gyllenhaal and Peter Sarsgaard are two soldiers who get drafted into the Gulf War, famously a war where not much happened in terms of like actual combat or whatever, and it's about like the toil that they go through. It's a movie where they do a lot of nothing. It's a movie where they do a lot of sitting around and waiting for something to happen,
waiting for Godot.
Waiting for the firefight. Yeah, absolutely. And then like near the end, it looks like they're about to get into a firefight, and like they have like an enemy in like their crosshairs or whatever, and they're about to like snipe this guy. They're about to do something, and then like the top brass come in and be all like, "No, we're taking over here," and they both like absolutely lose it, and it's all like, "We've been here for months. We haven't killed. Let us kill someone." And yeah, the movie is like a serious examination of like the mental toil people go through when they're in that situation. So of course it got a direct-to-DVD franchise series of one-off sequels that are just like oorah, blow-up, explosion, boom, boom, completely missing the point of what that original movie was trying to say.
I'm sure the writer is thrilled with that.
And anyway, this guy directed Jarhead 3, The Siege, which stars 24's Dennis Haysbert. Yeah, earning a paycheck.
Yeah.
God, that guy, Hollywood, put Dennis Haysbert back in things. I haven't seen him in anything good in such a long time. Such an underrated actor.
Oh yeah, he's great. President Palmer all the way. I'd vote for him.
You know what? Vote for him right now. Yeah. It's better than the option we have later on this year. I tell you that much.
I can't. He died in 24.
Bring him back. I don't care.
Zombie president.
Zombie Palmer. That's what Zombie Palmer 2025. But more so than the director of this, I actually want to briefly spotlight the screenwriter of this, a gentleman named Alan B. McElroy. This is actually the second film of his we've watched because he also wrote The Condemned 2. But I also just want to talk about like this, despite the fact that he wrote 2 of these WWE sequel films, his filmography of screenplay credits is kind of impressive. It's a cornucopia of not great things. Credits include Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, Rapid Fire, which is a Brandon Lee movie. He wrote the film Spawn, and he also developed the Spawn cartoon that dropped at the same time. He wrote the original Left Behind, not the Nicolas Cage one, the one with Kirk Cameron.
Wow.
A movie that I feel like is a good choice for our podcast one of these days. Ballistic X versus Sever.
Oh, is that the Antonio Banderas movie?
The Lucy Liu one, yes.
Yeah.
That inexplicably got a Game Boy Advance
Right.
game before the movie came out, and didn't follow the plot of that. He also wrote the horror movie Wrong Turn, which has gone on to have multiple direct-to-DVD sequels. He wrote the Tekken movie. And he also wrote The Marine. He wrote
the first
Marine. He wrote 1 and 4 and none of the other ones. So it's very
They
weird.
brought him back to the fold.
They brought him back to 4, and
Yeah.
it's a return to form. Yes. So yeah, I was just going through that guy's filmography. I'm all like, damn, this guy wrote a lot of things. Most of them not great.
Wow.
Yes, but just like the previous films, well, not The Condemned, but like 12 Rounds. I have not seen The First Marine.
Neither have I.
With John Cena. I do remember the trailer for it.
I remember seeing the trailer for that first movie and there being a lot of buzz in the theater afterwards. I don't know if it was just because, you know...
It was John Cena's first movie.
Right, and you see, you know, how massive of a man John Cena is on the big screen like that. And there were explosions going all over the place. Robert Patrick was there, and he was being like a sarcastic-looking bad guy. Yeah, people were excited about that, I think.
Robert Patrick, who, of course, later on would play John Cena's dad in Peacemaker.
Oh, yeah.
But the thing that I remember about the trailer is like the final moment right before like the credits hit. Like it's like the stinger after the title comes up, where like they're firing at John Cena and he's like avoiding all of their gunshots or whatever. Robert Patrick looks into the camera and is like, "This guy's like the Terminator," which if you're keeping count is like the 5th or 6th time that Robert Patrick has referenced the fact that he was in Terminator 2 in a movie. He can't stop referencing the fact that he was the T-1000 in movie. He does it all the time. He was the bad guy in Reacher season 2 and he dropped a fucking Sarah Connor reference in that. And it's like, come on, man, it's 2023. We know you were the fucking Terminator.
His tombstone's gonna read, Robert Patrick, he was in Terminator 2.
He was in Terminator 2. I wouldn't put it past them.
All right.
The Marine 4. One of the most baffling opening credit sequences I've seen. What was the deal with this?
Jesus Christ. There's a lot of reading off the top of this.
It's one of the only opening credits that I've ever seen where like the names of the people in the cast and crew are interspersed with just like definitions of military terms.
Yeah, it gives you a brief history on Marine terminology of the Marines themselves.
Also of just like things that happen, like in between like a couple of like the actor credits, like it'll just pop up and be like, the Battle of Dern. The Battle of Dern was a decisive victory of a mercenary army led by a detachment of United States Marines and soldiers. Oh, no time to read. We got to move on. It demands that you pause it so you can actually retain this information. But it's so weird.
It's like a pop-up video, you know, they're just like, did you know the Leatherneck was part of the uniforms during the Revolutionary War? Okay.
All right.
And
anyway,
then sometimes it'll just say stuff like honor, integrity, responsibility, and I'm like, my God, what? There's so much reading off the bat here, and then it immediately cuts to a text message exchange between.
It'll be like, you know, like edited by, and then it'll just cut to like oorah, and then like production design. It's all like, yes, we know what Marines are.
Gung ho,
gun ho.
But I did notice one thing that made me kind of perk up in those opening credits was I know the film's composer.
Oh, you like personally?
Yeah, Jeff Tomasak. I used to work with him. We worked together on the Penny Arcade games back in the mid-2000s.
Hey, that's awesome. Shout out to him.
Yeah, he's a chill guy.
Yeah, I mean, yes.
I mean, I'm not like friends with him, but I worked with the guy.
Yeah, this movie was filmed in Chilliwack, so yeah, it's yet another, most of it takes place in like large wooded areas, so it's not surprising that it was once again filmed in BC. Weirdly, it name checks BC, but like in the
all the license plates say Washington State.
Yes, in like the same breath or whatever that it mentions. We just flew in from Canada. We flew in from Vancouver. They literally name check Vancouver, but then they say, but now we're back on the good old U.S. of A. So it's all like, why did you name check? I mean, it's great to be name checked, but also it's very odd.
Meanwhile, all us locals recognize that. Well, that's fucking Squamish.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I kept waiting for them to show the BC Mining Museum. I was like, when's it coming? Where is it? I'm waiting
Any
for
day
it.
now. That train's never late. Yeah, the last thing the last thing I want to say about these credits is near the end it pops up, in between like producer and writer or whatever. It says, "Once a Marine, always a Marine." And as soon as I saw that, I'm all like, "Tell that to Randy Orton."
Yeah. Tell that to the Miz. They killed him off in 2 more sequels.
I mean, but he was still a Marine.
That's true. Yeah,
That's
he died
right.
a Marine.
He died a Marine.
Yeah. So after you read the full book, it shows it gives you the additional text, the supplementary reading material, where an evil defense corporation called Genesis is
Right, so this is tangentially connected to the Terminator universe.
I guess so. Yeah.
That was Genesis with a Y though, so that's how you know it's different.
Yeah, so there's just this digital text on screen between Genesis 1 and Genesis 2 talking about an upcoming Senate committee that will have a witness testify.
And you just know that Genesis 2 is pissed off that Genesis 1 got to be Genesis 1.
Yeah.
It's all, I was here like long before Genesis 1. How am I Genesis 2?
Can you be Genesis 1 and I be Genesis A?
Yeah.
It's just two bickering guys.
It's just two guys. Yeah.
So there's a big Senate committee hearing against Genesis, and there's a witness, a young woman, an IT director or whatever, who's going to testify against some bad dealings. And so Genesis, we can't have that.
She has the secret information is all you need to know. Yeah. She knows something that we don't want the rest of the world to know. So
is it documents? Is it pictures? Is it audio recordings? We never find out.
It appears to be, like, jumping ahead, it appears to just be a URL.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even like a physical thing, like a flash drive from like 12 Rounds 3 or anything like that. She just knows the name of a website where she's like contained all of her information. Yeah.
She emailed it to herself, and only she knows her password.
Right. It's like one of 3 passwords. It'll take her a while to remember exactly is this the one with the 11 or is this the one with the
so they say they are going to send their number 1 operative, Simon Vogel, to go shoot her dead.
I feel like I said in the Condemned 2 that Cyrus is like a classic bad guy name. Simon's
up there.
Simon's also up there. Yeah, absolutely.
Simon Cyrus would be a great villain name.
Simon Cyrus.
Yeah. Get on it, Hollywood.
Cyrus says. So we cut to the Miz, and he's waking up alone.
Yeah.
He's living that sad, lonely Marine life.
Staying in Squamish hotel rooms.
Absolutely.
Putting shaving cream on and then opting not to shave.
Well, no, he puts shaving cream on and then realizes he either forgot to pack his razor or
is that it?
Yeah, he has no razor. So he just wipes it off and he's all like, "Oh God, he has like 2 days stubble growth. I don't know. They just they needed to include like one small getting ready thing to try and endear us to this character.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess there was an entire other movie to endear us to this character. I don't know if it was successful or not.
He mentions that he can't tie a tie, but he gives it his all anyways. So that's what a likable character this Jack Carter is.
He's relatable.
Yeah.
He shaves. He puts ties on.
He doesn't shave and he can't tie a tie.
Well,
this man is a slob.
We expect him to be our action hero. He can't
certainly not the best you could be. So it's his first day on the job at a private security firm. They are escorting the lady witness, Olivia Tannis, to Department of Justice.
Now, did you recognize this actor, Jameson?
I certainly did.
Yes. So, inadvertently, we did not plan this, but as it turned out, all 3 of these WWE sequels happened to star someone from a previous movie. It took me a second before I remembered.
I recognized the voice.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Man, I couldn't remember her voice from like over a year ago. Anyway, Olivia Tannis is Melissa Roxburgh, a.k.a. not Clarice Starling from Mind Cage. Would have loved to have watched Mind Cage instead of this. Would have been an incredible palate cleanser.
She's certainly a more likable character in Mind Cage.
Okay, this is the main thing that I want to get into. So, like, the bare bones plot of this movie is The Miz has to protect this woman from the endless stream of mercenaries that are now against her. And that's sort of like immediately dampened by the fact that she is the most unpleasant person in the world. She is immediately mean and hostile to The Miz for absolutely no reason.
You call these guys inconspicuous? You might as well paint the target on my back. Oh, what a surprise. I mean, everything that you clearly have to offer. This guy looks like he bought a suit from Men's Warehouse.
Let me guess, you were a big deal back in high school? What was it? Quarterback dating a prom queen?
I'm trusting my life in people who can't even protect themselves from lousy fashion choices.
She chews him out for his suit. She assumes that he's a moron.
Like she gets off like this private plane. She like comes down with like her security detail. Turns out like there's
swats all the hands away from her as they're like escorting her off the plane.
Yeah.
Immediately wants to be away from their custody, and she's like, "I can make it on my own. I don't need you monkeys in suits."
Based on nothing. It's all like cool. I guess.
Yeah.
We'll just
You're on your own, lady.
Everyone go home. Stop protecting this woman. And she just immediately walks up to the Miz and so like, look at this bullshit over here. Look at where'd you dress? A fucking like dumpster outside of she name checks like the Men's Warehouse. It's all you get your suit at the Men's Warehouse. That's like a nice place. There's like good fashions there. I don't know. What that's a weird dig.
Yeah.
But
she's looking around BC, my home province, and she's like, "What a dump!" And I'm just like, "Boo."
Oh man. And like
I mean, it's just like one step above her being like, "I'm too cold. That plane was uncomfortable. This food sucks." Like
one of the members of her security detail turns out to be an old friend of the Miz's.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is a character from the Marine 3. I refuse to look it up. But yeah, they're like old buddies in, from the war or whatever. And like we cut to like the next scene where they're in a oh god, what's it called where there's like a bunch of cars?
Oh, a motorcade.
Yes, thank you. They're in the motorcade. They're in like the center car, of course, because she's the package that they're protecting or whatever. She's the full package. Wow. And I don't know where that came from. I apologize to everyone. And yeah, and like Miz is driving the car and his buddy's in the back, and they're just two friends catching up. It's all like, hey, what's going on with you?
Yeah, how are the kids?
You see, how are the kids? Oh, they're like 12 and 5, which is great because I'll be dead in like a couple of minutes. So that's sad. And then he's all like, Miz, what are you up to? Like, you dating anyone? No, I'm not seeing anyone. And then she immediately elbows her way into the conversation. Is all like,
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, you piece of shit. What are you fucking talking about? You dress like garbage and you have the personality of a fucking walrus. Get the fuck out of here.
I bet you were a douchebag jock in high school.
I bet you're a real piece of shit. And it's just like, where is all this hostility coming from? It's just two old friends catching up.
She should just like slam the brakes and be like, "What is your fucking problem, lady? Like, are you trying to piss off the people that are trying to keep you safe? Come on."
And this, I think, helped me come to a bigger realization about these WWE movies and why, largely on the whole, they just don't work for me. Is because every character over all three of these movies has the personality of a professional wrestler. And it's all just about appearing to be the most tough. It's about
tough or stoic.
Yeah, it's about like not showing any sort of emotion. It's about like not like connecting on like a deeper personal level. It's all just like chest beating. I have to be like the smartest person in the room. I have to be like the toughest person in any situation.
Yeah, not only am I the toughest, but unbeknownst to you, I'm also way clever than I look, and I'm gonna put you in your place with some verbal jabs.
If you want to set up that the Miz has to protect Olivia and there's an animosity between them, that's fine. It has to stem from something. She has to have, like, the briefest of interactions with the Miz before she starts giving him the business.
Yeah.
To act like it can be as simple, something as simple or hokey as like she gets off the plane, she has like she wanted like a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
That's what she wanted. She just was all like, oh man, I've had like such a rough go of things. I just flew in from Afghanistan. I really would like a cup of coffee. Someone hands her a cup of coffee. The Miz isn't looking where he's going,
and he bumps into her, spills it.
Yeah, or just something. You need to set something up to give us some idea of why she's immediately hostile towards this person. But she's just immediately hostile towards everyone.
She is knives out the second she steps off that plane.
And as a result, I don't care about what happens to her. And that's a problem because that's the plot of the movie. The plot of the movie is we need to keep this person alive.
Yeah.
And within the first 10 minutes of the film, I don't give a shit whether she lives or dies.
And like she doesn't turn that corner when her life is immediately put in danger. A rocket hits one of the cars ahead of her.
Yeah.
And then the security detail is assaulted on all sides by some mercenaries.
By Vogel and his team. Yeah.
And her instinct is to split. She runs off alone into the woods.
Yeah. And it's not
worst choice of option.
You know, like, if you're gonna make that character that unlikable,
and that's stupid.
yes, if you're gonna make her that combination of stupid and unlikable, then what's at stake needs to be a little bit bigger for all of us, because like what's going on is we just find out that she has like secret information about Genesis that will they'll send this whole house of cards tumbling down on itself, but it's all just so like it's spoken about in like the vaguest terms. If we're just like writing like a hoary basics screenplay or whatever, make it like a doomsday weapon, make it something where it's like, if this woman doesn't get to this place and like deliver the information or whatever, then a bomb will go off in like Turkey or something, or something, you know. But like, there's no stakes to this movie.
Yeah,
it's just the Miz has to keep this woman alive, and I don't care.
Yeah, she has incriminating evidence on people we don't meet. We don't know what the evidence is.
Right.
Yeah, so the Miz runs after her into the woods. They meet up. The security detail is mostly wiped out, save for the Miz's, best buddy in the whole wide world, who's the DOG representative, and another DOG representative
named Smith.
Smith, yeah.
Yes, brilliant character names in this. Yes, but we don't see them disappear. They just show up later on. But yes, it looks as if Vogel and his team of mercenaries has wiped them all out. Much like 12 Rounds 3, we don't get a lot of definition with these mercenaries.
Yeah.
But we do, much like 12 Rounds 3, there is one woman bad guy on the team, and this is, we've been burying the lead because this movie technically has 2 wrestlers in it.
Yeah.
Now I know even less about this woman, Summer Rae.
You're gonna...
What's the backstory here?
You're gonna hate hearing this.
Oh.
So, the biggest memory I have of her that sticks out of my mind is she was involved in an awful feud with another woman wrestler on who got to be the dance partner of this one wrestler named Fandango, whose gimmick was he was a salsa dancer.
All right, and that's the
go.
highlight of her entire career.
She had
outside of being in the Marine Corps.
That and another tryst she had with another female wrestler, and who got to be the valet / girlfriend of another wrestler named Rusev.
So just how it relates to like other male wrestlers. Didn't really get like a story of her own.
I think she was featured prominently on one of those like total diva reality shows that WWE produced. So she was just a fixture of that.
Sure.
And from what I understand, this is the very first WWE movie that is featured or starring a diva.
Well, the very first.
Yeah,
really?
I believe so.
When did Bale Enforcers come out?
That wasn't WWE.
I know, but she was a diva and she was in a movie.
That's the thing, yeah. Well, like Trish Stratus was right there. I'm surprised she didn't headline a movie, but they put her on the fucking poster.
She's on the poster. She's second billed after The Miz on the poster, and she's just like a secondary bad. I'd say she's like the third bad guy of this movie, despite the fact she has like what, like 3 lines,
if that.
Yeah,
but she's not very good.
Doors, you got anything?
Cops got nothing so far. The whole area is still locked down. Roadblocks, checkpoints, everything.
No, I mean, like, gentlemen,
it's a thankless role because like she's just another heavy. She's another goon.
But given the fact that she is like a WWE diva, like she's an actual wrestler or whatever, you'd think the movie would give her a little more to chew on, or at the very least kind of spotlight the eventual head-to-head that she'll go up against The Miz, and we get like a little bit of that, but it's not it's not worthy necessarily of like the other wrestler or whatever. You could have cast anyone in this role.
A smarter movie would have been she's a part of the security detail, and it's the veteran security officer and the junior guy in The Miz sort of butting heads on what's the best way to keep this young witness safe.
Right.
Yeah. And because it's 2 ladies going up against the one man, there's that dynamic imbalance.
Yeah, something. Or even
anything.
Or even make her the woman who has like the secret information, but make her more of like an interesting character, like say that she had, because she works in like this, because this character, like this Olivia character, is like described as like a rich daddy's girl or whatever.
Yeah,
like she comes from money,
a tech genius of 135 IQ.
Yeah,
even though she runs off into the woods alone during a firefight.
She's a tech genius, not a real world genius.
Yeah.
Now, Summer Rae's character, her last name is Dawes. Did you happen to look in the credits what this character's full name is?
I did, and I know where you're getting at, and I didn't need to look this up. Rachel Dawes is the name of Maggie Gyllenhaal's character in The Dark Knight.
Yes, indeed. Also Katie Holmes from Batman.
Right, yeah.
But it's like, it is interesting that, like, those were incredibly popular movies that almost everyone saw, and, like, you know, most people remember that character's name was Rachel Dawes, so it's just kind of interesting that, even though I don't believe she's called Rachel throughout the entire movie, I think they just refer to her as Dawes, but it's
an interesting coincidence.
I guess it's just like a little nod, saying, by the way, this character has, like, a famous name from
a Batman movie.
From fiction.
Yeah.
Yes, Batman's girlfriend. Anyway, so they
the
run
movies
away.
only.
In the movies only.
Yeah.
Even though they never consummate their relationship.
So, good point. So it's the Miz and Olivia, they're going through the forest. She's bickering at him the entire time, wanting to get away, telling her to stick with her, and they settle on the fact that, well, there's only one way our motorcade could have been ambushed. There's someone on the inside who's working against us. And at this point, I'm just like, well, it's obviously his former commanding officer, his best friend from the DOGA office. No.
No.
It's the other guy.
It's
with no personal connections to the Miz.
It's the other guy that, like, I guess was introduced in a previous scene, but, like, they're also nondescript. When the twist ends up happening, I'm all like, who's that?
Yeah.
What was his deal again?
Yeah.
Was the
he was
story
a little snippy at the Miz or at the start, which makes me think, oh well, he's the misdirection. He's the red herring.
He's just a herring.
No, he's
it's just full on herring. So they get to the safe house.
Well, actually, before we get to that, they're on their way to the safe house. Then they get there because they find an abandoned truck that miraculously has the keys. Because the time it takes for the Miz to get behind the wheel and for it to start, there's no way he could have hot-wired it. The key had to have been in the ignition.
I thought that was the mercenaries' truck, because they were running away from the mercenaries in the woods or whatever. He kills, like, 4 of them with a handgun, and then they just find a truck in the woods. And I assumed that was theirs, that they got there at, like, a different point.
I don't think so, because the Mercs all have military-grade Jeeps and stuff, and this just looks like a generic hunting truck. Mm-hmm. And it's not the first time that a car is stolen in this movie. So this is a small town where everyone trusts everyone else, and you can keep your keys in the ignition.
More cars are stolen in this movie than the Cannon Films Captain America film. So they get to the safe house. Yes. Olivia insults the Miz some more. And then his buddy from back in the day shows up with Smith. With Agent Smith? Mm-hmm. How could we have known he was a bad guy with the name Agent Smith? Mm-hmm. So he tells Olivia to go hide in a corner, and then he comes out and he sneaks around, and he points the gun, and the buddy's
like, hey, it's me, the Miz. Like,
it's your old friend.
We're not the moles. And
Joe Friendly Man. Mm-hmm. If I wanted to kill you, I would have killed you by now. And he says all of, like, this stuff that the Miz is all like, actually, you're right. There's probably
I do trust you.
I do trust you. And then Smith pulls his gun out.
Yeah, the other guy pulls the gun out.
Pulls the guns out, and then forces the Miz inside. Tell him what happened to the girl. In one of many cases where someone has the Miz at gunpoint, and probably should just shoot him.
Yeah.
This is the problem with all these WWE films. It was the same thing last week where there's so many opportunities to kill the hero, and there's more than that, there's no good reason within the plot to keep them alive.
Absolutely.
At this point.
Yep. But it's not an opportunity to kill them. It's an opportunity for the hero to get out.
Absolutely,
of the situation.
Yeah. But like, it's like you could have killed the Marine and then still gone and found the woman.
Yeah.
Where now? I'm a little confused because it seems like it changes from scene to scene. Do they want to kill Olivia, or do they want to get the information from her, and then kill her? Because it could be a situation where, like, if I die, then the information goes out, or whatever.
No.
I have, like, a kill switch or whatever the fuck.
They mentioned that she protected this behind, like, some kind of firewall that only she has access to.
So they do need her alive, the thing. I guess this is why we don't kill the Miz.
But she hasn't told anyone what the password is. So if they kill her, then she takes that secret to the grave, and no one will ever see the incriminating Genesis stuff. That's what they're getting at.
Wow.
Yeah.
The incriminating Genesis stuff. It's just we just like type in, like, the code, we go past the firewall, and it's just like that one weird screen on Sonic the Hedgehog 2 where his face is all like fucking weird and it's like the sound check thing. Do you not know what I'm talking about?
No, I'm not.
Weird ghost face Sonic. Hold up,
All right.
I'll pull this up.
So Smith has the Miz at gunpoint, and with Olivia in the other room, Miz says, as a chance, because he told her to get out of the house. So with him at gunpoint, just to buy her some time, he says like, okay, well, let's like negotiate a deal. I will like surrender her to you for like X amount of dollars. Olivia overhears this, doesn't take the hint to get the fuck out of the house. And then Smith pulls the gun ever closer to the Miz. And then the Miz says, call my bluff, bitch. Meanwhile, I'm gonna have breakfast.
Go on, call my bluff, bitch. Meantime, I'm gonna have breakfast.
Which is one of the worst fucking things I think you could ever say at gunpoint.
And then Melissa Roxburgh like knocks like a broom over, and then they have like a fist fight, which I wrote down. Not a bad fist fight, actually pretty good. Maybe
I'll give this to the movie. All the one-on-one combat, hand-to-hand fight scenes, pretty good in this movie.
Right.
In this fight in the house, they're grabbing all the Smashables and they're throwing them over people's
All
heads.
the Smashables.
All the Smashables are here. Yeah, Miz is doing some pretty good wrestling moves. They're doing a lot of flips onto tables. Yeah, it was. I don't know. It was exciting. It's a lot better than some of the other fight scenes we've seen in these last two WrestleMania movies.
So in Sonic the Hedgehog for the Genesis, you could enter a code that would take you to like a sound check for the game or whatever.
I remember sound tests.
And when you do that, it cuts to Sonic, but he has like a weird human face with like a mustache or whatever, and he's holding up a thing. And the sound check is, and like the music is like very like ominous, kind of like out of nowhere. It was like one of like the very early instances of like something creepy and unexplainable happening in a video game that the internet kind of like really like lobbed onto.
Yeah, creepypasta stuff.
Creepypasta before creepypasta was a thing. Incidentally, if you type in weird face Sonic, it's almost exclusively footage from the first Sonic movie before they fixed everything. Not an easy thing to Google. Where are we in the Marine 4? He's finding a man.
How did we get on that train?
I don't know, Genesis, because the villain's called Genesis.
Right, yeah.
I have nothing to say about this.
So Vogel and his goons, they get to the house, but Miz and Olivia get into a boat and they sail away. They motorboat away.
And you would think by this point she might trust that the Miz is on her side.
Nope.
Did you mention while I was looking up Sonic that the Miz is kind of all like he's kind of like bartering with Smith? Okay, all right. I was paying attention.
Obviously doing that as sort of a distraction,
yes,
as like
absolutely.
Use this opportunity to run away.
Right, and
then
yeah.
But now that Olivia and Miz are alone together, just like walking on the rocky beach there, she says like, "Hey, I heard you trying to sell me out."
And he's all like, "Nah, just relax, baby. I'm the Miz. Don't worry about it." And then he turns his back on her, and she brains him with a fucking rock. That would kill lesser men, but the Miz can just walk it off.
Yeah, he sold that rock pretty well. That's wrestling for you.
Yeah, but she runs away. She has enough time to, I believe, she steals his. No, she gets a gun in the ensuing firefight. She runs away from the Miz's comatose body. And she gets to a highway.
And she flags down a truck, like a tow truck.
Throws the gun away. I would not. I understand that she's trying to get like this pedestrian to pick her up or whatever, but like I don't know, tuck it into your back pants.
Oh yeah,
or something. There are so many people who are trying to kill you right now, lady. Why would you throw away your only gun?
Also, you flag down a backwards trucker.
Absolutely, this could also be bad for you. This could
This could be a real friends of the road situation going on here. So yeah, maybe protect yourself, lady. If you think you know what's best for you and you're running away from your security detail, yeah, you don't have a great track record of making smart choices.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, but amazingly, enough time passes where the Miz is able to wake up from his massive head wound, get after her, and he's still one step ahead of Vogel and Ian Smith and the team and everything like that. It's all like that lake couldn't have been that big.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have taken them that long to get across the fucking river. But amazingly, like there's still the same amount of time in between all of the parties that there were. To begin with, she didn't really get that far ahead at all.
Especially with the one guy, Smith, being part of the Department of Justice. You think he could have made like a couple of calls and, gotten the CIA to enact some satellite surveillance of the area to see if they can spot him. Never take advantage of that.
Yeah, he just, like, as soon as he's revealed to be one of the bad guys, he completely largely throws away his like CIA are they CIA or are they just like a private security detail?
So the Miz's team is private security.
Oh right, and he came with her on the plane.
Come to think of it, what's the point of this middleman situation with the security team?
Just more security. Just more bodies around her.
Department of Justice lands the plane in Squamish, and then they hand her off.
No, Washington.
Washington, sorry. They hand her off to this private security team to escort her to another government military base or something. Why not call like an actual military liaison to pick her up? Why go through this private security firm?
Because you never know who you can trust. You can only trust like the smallest of security details.
Yeah, people who can be bought.
In this town. It's the same small Washington town that Recoil took place in.
Yeah,
definitely not the interior.
So yeah, the Miz follows the path to the highway where Olivia was picked up. Doesn't see a gun, which would have been a really massive clue. Mm-hmm. So there's just like a random discarded gun somewhere on the side of the highway in Squamish now.
Picks it up, starts sniffing it, gives it a little lick. He's like, she was here.
Yeah.
And using his marine skills.
And then which way do they go? Data way. And he steals a blue Mustang at a gas station. And that's another example of a car getting easily stolen in this town.
Like the guy's literally filling it up at the gas tank, and the Miz just like walks in, and that's why you take your keys. Do you have to have your keys in the ignition to pump gas? I don't drive.
No.
How say that you don't drive without? Well, then take your keys out of your car. That's the lesson that guy learned. Exactly. In this small, peaceful, tranquil town. So Olivia gets to the police station. Mm-hmm. Covered in blood. She starts ranting and raving and saying that there's all these people coming after me. The Miz is hot on her tail, and he shows up and he immediately acts the way you're not supposed to act at a police station.
Yeah.
He starts like throwing his weight.
Is there a woman here?
Is there a woman here? Where is that bitch? And he's immediately detained I would say rightfully so. You don't walk into a cop shop and start angrily making demands.
Especially when
person covered in blood.
And especially since like 5 minutes earlier, there's this panicked woman saying that there's these men out to get me.
We of course we have to remember that in every scene that follows this, Miz has like a bleeding head wound.
Yes,
that he's just like he must be disoriented. He absolutely would have to be. But they get to the cop shop and they run Miz's story and they
he gives them his ID, which I assumed was his private security contacts.
But the only one left is Ethan Smith, and so the call goes directly to him.
Well, why the fuck is he answering the call? He's not part of that crew. Isn't there
That's a great question.
Isn't there like a private security company? Don't they have like a headquarters?
They're all dead, Jameson. They're all dead. They all came on the job.
Then this company that the Department of Justice is entrusting this witness protection job, a key witness in an important Senate hearing, to a team of like 6 guys.
I don't know
6 dudes.
I don't know what happens. I just know that this sheriff calls someone to corroborate the Miz's story, and that someone happens to be Ethan Smith.
Yeah,
who's all like, he's the real bad guy. You got to hold on to both. On to both of them. I'm almost there.
Yeah, Department of Justice is out to get them.
Yeah, absolutely. And the sheriff is all like, I need to ask no further questions to this. Put them both in jail. Put them both in handcuffs.
Yeah.
Until we get to the bottom of things.
So Vogel and his crew show up. They're all locked and loaded. They're ready to assault the police precinct.
For ostensibly being the main villain of this movie, we really haven't talked about Vogel all that much. He's just like your standard bald South African mercenary dude, and he's just Mr. Tuffy.
He's ruthless and...
but he's like the least interesting villain that we've covered so far on any of these ones. He really has no personality.
I can't believe that his plan is to just go in there and shoot up the place.
Hey, it ended up working for him.
I know, but I love how Smith tries diplomacy at first. So... for the 3rd time today, a bloodied person walks into this police precinct. And he's got like this shark-like smile. He's like, "Ooh, hey, what a day!"
And he also, he also has like a bleeding head wound that he's just like ignoring or whatever. And this cop at the desk or whatever. This was some good acting by this guy because this is the 3rd time that this has happened within an hour. So his face does belie that information. Is all like, okay, now this is getting weird. weird. This is more than a coincidence now.
Especially since Smith is like cracking jokes and
Yeah.
he's like, "Hey, we got a wonderful town here."
But it doesn't end up mattering at all because yes, seconds later, Vogel and his team come in and just shoot everyone, which is like the first instance of Vogel having some sort of personality where it's all like, I don't wait, I just fire guns, boom, boom, boom. No, it's South African. I don't wait, I fire gun. No, I'm not even gonna do it. South African. What's South African? It's like almost New Zealand. I don't wait, I fire guns. I don't like Marines. I apologize to South Africa. I apologize to the continent of South Africa.
Yes.
I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's just it's another firefight. It's much like 12 Rounds 3. We have another fucking firefight in a police station.
Yeah, can't get enough of them.
But it doesn't
A
take
WWE
the
studio.
entire movie doesn't take place
It's
there.
the
though.
bread and butter.
But it's just it's just like a boring, uninteresting firefight that leads into a boring, uninteresting, long as fuck car chase.
Yeah.
And it's just like
That
you
car
need-
chase went on for fucking
You
hour.
need someone with like an eye for this. You need to stage it like you would a dance. Like a car chase has choreography. Like it has to you have to shoot in interesting ways. You have to have like interesting things happen. You have to play with people's expectations. This is just like scene after scene of people firing fake guns at each other and then just car go fast.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
It certainly didn't help that every once in a while there'd be like a weird transitional effect where the film would get really grainy and there would be close in zoom ups of a car, truck, or like trees zipping by. It was, frankly, it almost gave me a headache with the amount of times it was happening. But yeah, they shoot at the police station.
He tells Olivia to get out of here or to go.
And for the first time ever, she doesn't do that. She sticks around.
This is how her character has developed. He's like, I used to hate you,
Yeah,
and now
the last thing I wanted to do
Yeah.
is stick around you. Now I can't leave your side.
The first 3 times you literally saved my life, I didn't trust you. For some reason, this time it stuck.
Yeah.
This time I believe you.
So she runs out of the police precinct, and our third car of the movie is stolen.
It's like the least important thing that's currently happening
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now. All the Grand Theft Auto. But we have Genesis is gonna take over the world or something. I don't know. This is the problem. Is I don't know what the villains are doing. I don't know what their evil plan is. So how can I care? But it seems like some of the cops are gonna get away, but they don't. I think it's Summer Rae ends up machine gunning
Yeah.
all of them to death.
I was sad to see that. I don't know.
Yeah, it would have been nice
They were-
if someone got out of this alive.
Yeah, they
but
just like kill a bunch of innocents, or I don't know.
But all of these movies-
that left a bad taste in my mouth.
all of
that
these
scene.
movies have left a bad taste in my mouth with how they view collateral damage in this situation.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's
yeah.
very cynical.
How does it what does it say about this movie that we have more sympathy for these nameless cops than we do for
Our main character.
the lead female of the movie?
So yeah, the Miz and Olivia they get away.
There's an endless car chase. I noticed one of the villains' SUVs has a cancer ribbon decal on the back. I thought that was nice. It's just like scumbag number 1 just like shows up, just gotta put this here. It's important. It's important to care about issues. I want people to know that I'm a mercenary for hire.
Yeah,
but I care. I give.
Yeah, I'm fighting for.
Yeah,
I'm fighting for my sister.
a small amount of my mercenary money goes towards cancer research, which is nice.
Yeah.
Which is nice. And then
WWE actually does a lot of work for cancer.
it is that I just thought it was funny.
Yeah.
That it's like mostly like the trucks in like action movies are
Like, to see your
nondescript or whatever.
to see that your bad guys have a
Yeah.
have a heart. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, exactly. They all have families.
So Miz and Olivia, they run off into the woods. The sun's setting, and they just decide like, oh, we got some work to do. You know, we're I don't know how we're miles away from civilization.
Gotta home alone the fuck out of this woods, man.
Have you
for
seen
the next day?
Have you seen First Blood? Okay, good.
We're doing that now. The last 30 minutes of this movie will just be First Blood. Olivia also takes a pen and writes, I guess, like the important URL information on the Miz's hand, and much like in 12 Rounds when when he wrapped himself in Kleenex and Scotch tape, my immediate thought is all like, that's a sweaty man. That's not gonna, that's gonna be gone in like 2 minutes. There's no way. Do you want to try paper? Do you want to try a piece of paper? Maybe? Yeah. But they're finally bonding. She
dresses the wounds of her man.
Yep.
And I was really worried that there was going to be a shoehorned in love interest thing between these two people that up until now have clearly hated each other.
But like a love subplot, Jameson, would require these characters to have like more than one emotion at any point in time. That is the thing you can say about all three of these movies that we've watched for this miniseries. None of them have had love interests. None of them have had love stories.
Which is fine to me because, a lot of the times they're shoehorned into action movies and they're not believable and they're not necessary. And I thought, okay, well, you know what? Good on WWE for not taking that low-hanging fruit. But as you just say, it might be because they can't emote.
At the same time, it would be interesting to see if anyone within the company could actually pull that off. Where it's like, on top of you firing a gun and running and doing like your wrestling moves, I would like you to, have a human connection with another person. I wonder if they've done it. I wonder if it exists in anything. We will have to see, you know?
Like if all the wrestlers that we've seen in these movies, I think the one who could have pulled it off most believably is The Miz.
Sure, I mean, he's in those romantic comedies, so he must kiss some ladies in that.
A big angle of his kayfabe persona is that he's a part of a celebrity super couple.
But I mean, to talk about like the big three, as I love to bring them up whenever we talk about WrestleMania. Dave Bautista has said he would love to do a romantic movie. No one has really cast him in that role. The closest he's ever gotten, well, no, not even. I was about to say the closest he's ever gotten is his character in Glass Onion, who was in a relationship, but it's not really viewed as like a healthy relationship. Dwayne Johnson cannot do fundamentally cannot do romance.
No.
When he tries kissing a lady, it's just all like you don't do that in real life.
Yeah.
I don't feel.
Rock doesn't love anyone more than himself.
Absolutely, yes. That's why he should do a romantic comedy with himself as the female love interest, like a Jack and Jill situation, but they're not related.
I'm never gonna get that image out of my head.
I think John Cena probably is the closest to, even though like I don't remember him being in like romances or anything like that. He's definitely proven that he can be like a person in a relationship and stuff. Like he dated Amy Schumer in Trainwreck, even though that was like
also not a healthy relationship.
That was not a healthy relationship, but that was set up for the fact that she's not good at relationships, so she couldn't make it work with John Cena, who seemed like a lovely dude. But I don't know. If there is a single example of a wrestler proving that they have romantic chemistry with anyone on screen, by all means, let us know, because I can't think of one. I can't think of a single one. But anyway.
Yeah, and with The Miz being the star of the Marine franchise for a couple of movies, you had ample opportunity to try it out with one of them.
Sure.
Yeah. Anyways, the daybreak happens, and Vogel and his crew go through the woods, and they set off all the booby traps.
He has somehow acquired even more mercenaries, because I guess he just had like mercenaries on standby,
waiting in the wings.
During the evening, he called in even more reinforced. It is amazing. There are always more mercenaries than I think there are.
Yeah,
in like a scene.
Yeah, you can't keep track of how many are dying.
There really aren't, and there are like a few of them that kind of have like recognizable faces. There's like one guy who kind of like survives for a while. That kind of has like an interesting face. He kind of looks like that one guy from Game of Thrones, Ewan Rayond. I can't think of how you pronounce his name.
Is that the guy whose eyes were too close together in his face? Yeah.
Yes, he has like a very...
apologies to that actor.
I know, but he has like he doesn't have like a character or anything, but he has like at the very least an interesting look, and he kind of survives the longest out of any of the other mercs.
There's one guy there who looks like a good 15 to 20 years older than everybody else.
There usually is. Absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, so Vogel and Smith and their team are traipsing through the woods, and he gets a call from The Miz. And what is his character's name? Because we've just completely thrown that away.
It's The Miz.
It's The Miz. His character. What amazing! His character's name is The Miz. The Miz calls him on like the sat phone or whatever
to announce that he's a few yards away from where they are, and he gets him with a sniper
Well,
rifle.
I thought this was interesting because like this is like the trap that the Miz has like set for them or whatever, and they're all standing and they're like talking or whatever, and they're like throwing their bluster around, and then the Miz says, "That's not why I called," and Vogel says, "Why did you call?" And then the guy behind him explodes in a torrent of blood. So it's all like, "Why did you call?" It was to shoot all of the unimportant people. Why didn't you take the opportunity to kill Vogel, the Miz? You know, the main guy, your main problem. Take him out, but no, I'll take out like mercenary number 23, who hasn't been who's been introduced in this scene. Dumb. Dumb.
Well, because then the movie would be over, Kaz, and I'm not ready for this movie to be over yet, are you?
No, but it would have been an interesting subversion to take out someone like Vogel in this particular situation.
Especially since we still would have Smith as
exactly. This movie kind of has two main villains. So, like, if you take out one of them at this point in time, then the other one can, like, step up and become, like, the bigger problem now or whatever. But, or, God forbid, you take out both of them and let Summer Rae do something.
Yeah.
Like, she's pissed off. It's all like, now I'm not going to get paid. Now you die. Or something.
Yeah. Speaking of her, she and the Miz meet up in the woods, and they have a knife fight.
They have, like, their only fight. They have, like, their own... These are the two wrestlers in the movie, and they're finally going head-to-head.
And, you know, it's over too quickly.
Way too quickly.
It, like, less than 10 seconds of a fight scene, even though by all metrics, it looks like it could have been really entertaining.
This should have been the action scene
Exactly.
of the movie. This should have been what we were building up to.
You have two wrestlers,
yes,
like duking it out in the forest. Like, they're trained fighters. I'm sure they have great chemistry coming up through the company together like that. Sure, they would have had a blast working on the choreo for something like this. And not to mention, you probably want to have a showcase for the first diva you ever put in one of your movies. But no, it's over in seconds.
Yeah, they have like a brief fight, he knocks her down, then another merc comes out of nowhere and he uses her as a human shield. And that's your other WWE superstar out of the movie.
Yeah.
She got basically nothing to do. And
she's second billed and she's on the fucking poster.
Yep. Well,
so,
you got to get those butts in seats.
Hey, you know what? She broke
on your couch.
She broke the glass ceiling for all the divas to come after her.
You got to walk before you can run.
Exactly,
Jameson. Yeah, so you mentioned First Blood. Yeah. The Miz spent the entire evening lacing the forest with his Punjab stakes or whatever, and you know, like the
swinging rocks with pikes
absolutely
on
the
them.
swinging pike things. Understandably, he's spent the night up making all of these weapons of destruction because he shouldn't be sleeping. He's a massive concussion. Yeah. So it was very smart. It was very smart of him to keep busy.
You can walk off a stone to the back of the head.
Yeah. No. Yeah. He's just all like, the second I close my eyes, I'm dead. I gotta keep going. I'm like a shark. I gotta keep moving.
I'm on adrenaline right
now. There's a moment where like two mercs are like running through like the woods, and like one of them steps on something, and it's like the spike thing that like comes up and it should like stab him in the chest, but he only just trips it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't kill him, and he looks to his buddies all like, phew, amateurs.
Yeah.
And then his buddy takes a step, and then he gets hit with like
a different one.
Different one. So I just love the fact that like the Miz is making all of these traps and whatever. It's all like, all right, I got like 3 of like these like spike trap things. I should probably spread these out. No, you know what? 2 right next to each other. Yeah. That makes sense. If one of them, if
the first one doesn't get you, the second one will.
If one guy almost activates it, but not quite, the other one will get his buddy.
Yeah.
So that's perfect. It's so dumb. It doesn't make any sense to have 2 traps next to each other, but they found a way.
I would have loved it if it was like Sideshow Bob with the rakes, and there's just like a bunch of them all kind of spread around the same area.
That would be good. Like, one gets him in the head, and like a spike goes into his head, but it doesn't quite kill him, but he has like brain damage, and and then he's just stumbling around, and he keeps getting spiked. Oh man. This would be better. Yeah.
And we're down to the last couple of goons, which is our second fight with Smith. He grabs a hold of Olivia and he's got her at gunpoint, but she breaks free, and then
she kills one of them.
She kills Smith. Yeah, because he's having a tussle and he's holding his own against the Miz, but just as he's about to, I don't know, break his neck or something, she comes up behind and shoots him point blank.
Yeah, and she's doing other stuff too throughout all of this, but I didn't clock any of it.
No.
She's part of it or whatever. Mm-hmm. You would have thought
she's holding her gun forward and like keeping it as steady as she can, and just doing a lot of spray fire and hoping for the best.
Even though you have to imagine, like, she could have kept walking. She could have kept going. She could have kept going until she found a road. There's no real reason to continue to put herself in danger like this, other than the Miz stays. The Miz does a good enough job.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess he would have gotten killed if she wasn't there. So it was good.
It almost looks like he did. Vogel gets him in the shoulder, and then I guess the Miz plays possum for a bit. So Vogel's got Olivia marching her towards her death. But miraculously, she gets a cell signal on her phone.
Even though they are still in the deep woods, there's not
in
even
the middle of fucking nowhere. She found one of those famous pockets that we have in the interior, Kaz. You get further enough into the mountains, you're gonna find one of those phantom signals.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about because this movie takes place in Washington.
Yes.
Yeah. At some point in time, Miz does like, I can't remember if this was with Vogel or with Smith, but he does like the classic thing where he tosses some dirt in their eye.
Yeah.
There's mud in your face, and it always blows my mind that always seems to work in no matter what situation.
Yeah, I think he does that to Smith, but
it doesn't matter. He kills both. Both of them.
Yeah.
He breaks Vogel's neck.
No, he breaks both his arms, one of his legs, and his neck.
Yeah,
just to be sure.
He breaks all of it. He breaks them. He must break some. Is what he does.
Exactly. Yeah.
He breaks them like a. What are those things called?
Like a bad habit.
Well, like the collapsible thing. I don't know. You know what? That metaphor died on the vine.
But yeah, she gets the file out, and justice is served against the Evil Defense Corporation.
We see a montage of like white men in business suits getting arrested in handcuffs, and like people in like suits holding up the police. What are the numbers called when you have to when you get like
when you get your
mug shots? You get mugshot photos or whatever. Yeah,
you know, it's nice to see that happen for once.
Exactly. We solved it. We solved corruption in the government with this movie, and nothing was ever a problem again. And now the government is run by like good people who aren't evil and don't have like a
ties to big business and
absolutely.
Nefarious. Yeah, I think I'm gonna label this movie under the fantasy category.
Yep. And then the movie ends largely where it began, on the same airstrip, and Olivia's getting back on the plane. And as a parting gift, she gives him a new suit because she made fun of his last one, and also it got destroyed in all of the action.
She got his measurements while
exactly.
She was doing all the dressing.
She just said large. She just went in and said like he's a large man, even though he's definitely one of the most compact wrestlers we've ever talked about. He's obviously cut.
Yeah.
But he's kind of a normal looking guy. The Miz. Yeah. By all accounts.
Yeah. I'd say
she gives him a little smooch on the cheek,
and I was like, whatever.
And then they and then he looks off into the distance, and he's all like,
big U.S. flag appears behind him, and
he's all like, what adventures are just around the corner?
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And there's
Jake the Miz Carter will return in the Marine 5
and the Marine 6, and then nothing else. There's a ticking clock on this character. I kind of want to watch the Marine 6. I kind of want to watch what the end of this character happen. I kind of want to see, even though it's not going to be good, and I had to pay for this movie, so I don't really want to give them more of my money. I'm curious as to how he meets his maker, though.
All I know about that movie is it also stars two other wrestlers.
Shawn Michaels,
and Becky Lynch. I think that really, really big guy from Final Score is in it as well.
Oh yeah, Martin Jones. Yeah.
And
who recently got Martin Ford who recently got cast as Shao Kahn in Mortal Kombat 2, which like I heard that I'm all like, that's correct.
That'll work.
That's who you cast. Yes.
And the only other thing I know about that movie is it's the Marine going up against the IRA. So
that was the ultimate bad guy that he was building towards. Absolutely. Yes. Ooh, there's nothing unfortunate there. Is there anything that we didn't want to talk about? That we didn't want to talk about the entire movie.
Want to talk about this.
I just wanted to spotlight an interaction. The first time that they're in the car together and Olivia is giving him shit or whatever. He mentions that he didn't get like the best grades in high school or whatever, and she starts he doesn't even mention high school. She just immediately assumes that he got shit grades on the SATs or whatever, and that he's a big dumb idiot or whatever, and then he counters with like, like probably the best comeback that you can, because it immediately shuts everyone in the car up.
Yeah.
And he says like, the SATs were never my problem. Oh yeah,
Why didn't you ever go to college? Oh, maybe a little thing called 9/11 happened.
Heard of it? Maybe.
Fast forward a couple years, and you're just another rent-a-cop playing taxi driver.
Not bad, but I hate to break it to you. SATs weren't really my problem.
Yeah? What was it that astonished me?
Little thing called 9/11.
I actually would have loved to have heard how the conversation continued past then, but then the car in front of them blows up and kind of puts. But it's all like,
for the rest.
If anything would have shut this woman up, it would have been. It would have been
for the It would have been great if for the rest of the car ride, not only was she silent, but nothing else happened in the movie.
Yeah.
She made it to the Senate committee hearing.
Yeah, exactly. It was just silence. It's just an hour and a half of just awkward silence in the car. And so look, I'm really sorry about that.
Why didn't you go to college? 9/11. And then cut to black. Olivia made it to the Senate committee hearing. No problem.
His name is the Marine. You should have assumed that 9/11 was a part of this.
He would have been in the right age group for that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well.
I don't know. Was there anything you wanted to say?
No, that's,
all right. Well, the Marine 4 moving target, does it have a certain something, or is it just a whole lot of nothing?
I do think that it has a certain something in the fact that the action scenes outside of that one car chase, I thought were okay. I could follow what was going on. There wasn't as many head-scratchingly dumb character decisions as there were in 12 Rounds and The Condemned. What this movie has over the other two is that I think it's just a better made movie. Maybe because it was part of the Marine franchise, they put in a little bit more effort into it because it was their baby.
This is their bread and butter, yeah.
It's certainly absolutely not anything groundbreaking or the best action movie, but of the WrestleMania sequels that we've watched, I think it's just the best made one.
So you would go Marine 4, then what do you give?
Maybe The Condemned.
The Condemned 2, and then
12 Rounds.
12 Rounds is definitely. Yeah, I agree with that. I think I would flip The Condemned and the Marine. I think this was just so dull. This was just so boring and ponderous, and just I agree with you in the sense that I think on a technical level it's the most competently directed of the three of them, but on
its own merits.
On its own merits, but the other stuff I think we had a better time talking about the other two than this one.
Yeah, because there was more things wrong with those other movies. Yeah, this was struggling to kind of find something out of this movie, but
I think the thing we've learned is that none of these are good.
Yeah.
These are all this in terms of WrestleManias.
Yeah. What have we learned from this?
We've
series?
learned not to do this. We've learned not to do this again. We've learned not to listen to Kaz and his dumb ideas.
There. It's all right. You'll get the next one. You know what I relearned from watching all this is that I much prefer wrestling when there's a degree of corniness to it.
Absolutely.
All these movies are taking themselves way too seriously, and that just robs all the joyness out of it. My favorite parts of watching a WrestleMania are the garish costumes and the crazy antics. And my least favorite parts of a WrestleMania are the main event ones, where it's just two stoic, muscleoid brawlers playing it completely straight that have no personality, but you're just going to watch big bodies slamming into each other. Yeah. That's not exciting. That's not interesting. That's not something outrageous that I'm not going to find anywhere else,
Yeah. This was an interesting thought experiment in terms of watching these sequels within the same production company from the same producers. But in terms of past WrestleManias, there's usually one movie out of three that's kind of a hidden gem.
Oh yeah,
and there just wasn't anything
not in this
year, unfortunately. It's kind of the most disappointing WrestleMania that we've ever done, and I take full responsibility. For that because I wanted to try something. You know what? You miss 38% of the shots you don't take.
You know what? I think it was good of us to at least put eyes on WWE as a film studio.
And I think based on everything that you said about the history of the films that they released, there's still a lot of titles that I am interested in checking out at some point in time. Hopefully next year we'll get to it.
Yeah.
But we gotta leave room for a McKinsey's Island or a tag team or just something that looks ridiculous.
Yes.
And
I think I don't want to see a bunch of A-listers in a poorly written movie that feature a wrestler. I want to see goofy wrestlers in a poorly written action comedy. You know, that's what makes this sort of thing exciting for me. But, you know, as a studio, I gotta at least give them accreditation for at least trying to put out their own stuff out there. I don't know if it's just to legitimize themselves in their crazy CEO's eyes or whatever, but like, making movies is hard. And it ain't easy to break into the film industry, and Hollywood itself is very guarded. So there should be more studios putting out original fare outside the Hollywood system. So by that smallest of accreditation, you know, WW Studios...
They are a successful independent film company.
Well, hey, you're right. I mean, they're still cranking them out, whether, you know, it's because of of their own output. But you had asked me, what do they have coming up next? Nothing.
Yeah.
They're I think... When I was saying, like,
the experiment might be over now.
Like with the...
With
the end of the Marine franchise, their quote-unquote moneymaker, what else is there left for them to do except...
Well, they could attempt to start a new franchise. They could write a new original story with characters that we like and then turn that into a franchise, but it seems like they've stopped doing it.
Maybe with Vince no longer being in charge of the company, that's like, okay, like someone with an actual business sense took a look at the numbers and was like, why the fuck are we throwing all this money towards our film division?
This is the thing you said earlier, and the fact that WWE Studios just doesn't make money. It just isn't successful.
No.
So yeah, I think largely the gas ran out of the engine on this, and I think they just realized it's all like, you know what? Maybe 7 Scooby-Doo movies is enough. Maybe this is enough. Maybe we don't need to go back to that well the third time. But there we go. That's yet another end to WrestleMania, and we'll be back to regular movies after this. I mean, we never cover regular movies on this podcast. This is the closest.
This is the most regular.
This is the closest we've ever come to a regular movie. I'll tell you that much. But
this is a middle of the road movie.
It was indeed. It was the Marine 4 Moving Target. I will say, you know, like in terms of like a subtitle, Moving Target is quite apt.
Oh yeah,
that target
they're on the move.
They move.
Yeah,
they're not wrong there.
So that's another point in the win column for this movie.
There we go. Successful movie. Directed by William Kaufman. If you like this episode, please check us out. Check out all of our past episodes. You can check them out on Spotify and YouTube. If you go further back into the catalog, you'll see that they are under the title, The Fuck Is This? It's the exact same show. Don't get scared away. Don't get scared. It's still us.
It's all right, baby.
We're just a couple of babies, and we're just talking about movies. This is what we do. We sit down and we talk about a movie. You probably figured that out by now because it's the end of the episode. We'd like to thank Eddie Lamb for his fantastic theme music, and you can follow us on all the social media. You can follow me on Letterboxd. I'm Kaz Lesgard.
My name is Jameson Rafter, and as The Miz always says at the opening of his title music, awesome.
I don't like him.
No,
I don't care for that.
Well, you know what would be more appropriate for this than awful.
Perfect.
Yeah.